Pour yourself some coffee or crack open a beer. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Let's talk about some road trips on this Midwest No Bounds podcast. So let's get going. Hi, friends. Well, if you saw my last podcast, you would know that my husband was on a business trip to Las Vegas and he brought me back this souvenir. So this nice coffee mug. But I don't like coffee, but I do use mugs every single morning. But yeah, so he got me this mug here. I like it a lot. I see it got like a little bit chipped right there. So he had to fly. So I'm wondering if, from the travels it got chipped. But it lasted through the dishwasher. I used it already. It was fine. So, but no, I really love it that he got me this mug on his trip to Vegas. No, but he did, because he was there for a business trip. So they had to go to a convention. And they did do some other things there. They went to the gigantic sphere, and I saw somewhere on some social media where, because it was the Wizard of Oz show, that they had some apples that would like fall from the ceiling thing. And so I asked them to bring me back an apple. And unfortunately, where they were dropping the apples was in the rows that was in front of him. So he was one row too far back to be able to catch any of the apples. But he did bring me back a leaf. So it was just one of those like confetti cutout, the little like tissue paper type thing. So yeah. So when he came home, I was like, oh, did you get me an apple? Did you catch an apple? And he's like, no, I didn't catch an apple, but I got a leaf. So I was really excited for the leaf. So I got the mug and I got a leaf. So that's exciting. Yeah, but he didn't really take any video or anything inside the sphere because he didn't want to disturb any of the people that were around him. But he did snap in the beginning of it. He did snap a picture, and it showed of before the show actually started. And what they were showing was a stage. And he was saying that the definition of the screen was like so crisp that it was like he was staring at an actual stage. And once it was like, so it was kind of messing with his eyes a little bit because he said he was sitting there and he was like, is that stage really there, or is that just, part of the sphere? So once the show actually started, then he was like, oh, okay, that's part of the sphere. So I wish he took some video and stuff, but no, he didn't. See, this is why I take the pictures and the videos, because I go ahead and I do it. And I do my best trying not to disturb any people that are around me, or I go fast, or I kind of hide it a little bit. I do my best of not trying to be obnoxious and getting the camera in the way. So, but yeah, he only took one picture of that. And then he did go over to the Hoover Dam and he took some pictures of those. And he was having to take the pictures from his phone. So he had a big death grip on his phone because he was terrified of dropping it because it was so high up. But yeah, he was saying that with how high up they were of being on the dam, it felt like, am I looking at a picture? Like, is this real life? So, but yeah, he took some pictures of the outside. There was also pictures of the inside of it. They had they had a neat tour in there. And so he was talking more about it. So hopefully on one of the future podcasts, if it's not, too far behind where it's like, what's the point? He'll talk about it and kind of explain a little bit about what's going on. So it's kind of hard for me to explain because I wasn't there. So then it's like the game of telephone, or it's just like, oh, I'll think that I'm explaining something right. And really it's like, no, that's not how it went. It's like, oh, sorry. But yeah, he had a good time and he had a good flight and stuff. On the other podcast, on the previous podcast, I showed pictures of the flight. So, but that was neat though, that he was able to capture for the Hoover Dam and then just the quick picture of the sphere. So, but yeah, So hopefully one of these days I'll be able to go out into Vegas. I've never been there. This was his very first time being in Vegas. So yeah, it was, neat trip for him. Hopefully I'll be able to go one of these days. So, but I do have that trip down in Florida in a couple weeks. So I'm going to be having a ton of video that I'll have out of the travels and have road trip episodes. So I don't know how many. I'll have to see how it goes. But yes, I am super excited about that one. And I do have plans. Hopefully it works out. But I do have plans to do road trip episode. I'm knocking things over. Road trip episode this weekend. Something more local. On those places. I did mention on the previous podcast there were some candy shops that were really neat that I really wanted to go to for an episode, and also for another episode there's this market where they have a bunch of different types of foods from different countries. So I thought it would be like a fun game to try out like different snacks and food and stuff like that. It just depends on if I'm able to get that done before heading down to Florida, which it sounds like I'll be able to do it this weekend. So hopefully the plans work out fine, because I was having issues before where the plans just weren't working out. So, but it sounds like I'll be able to do it this weekend. So that'll be really exciting for that to come up. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot to mention. So apparently my husband learned you don't ask for directions in Las Vegas because you're just going to get the same answer. No matter where you ask on where is this or where is that, it's going to be the same exact answer every single time. And it's going to be, just go that way. Because that was the problem that he ran into when him and his coworker, they got lost, and I forgot where he said they were trying to go. But yeah, that was the answer that they kept getting over and over. And it wasn't like he was asking just like random people on the street. Like he was asking, people like employees that worked at the hotels. There was like someone that like was guarding like a gate area, and they would ask, "Oh, they're lost. They're even trying to find like a certain way to exit a building, and they're just like, "Oh, how do you get out of here?" And they're like, "Oh, just go that way. Oh, just go this way." Okay, and then they ended up like it led them to a locked door. so, and then they were, and then when they were out on the street, he was saying that they went over to this one place and they were trying to get to wherever, and they're like, "How do you get there?" And they're like, "Oh, you just go that way. You got to take that bridge." Oh, okay. So same thing, just go that way. So they went that way, and then there was a guard there and it was closed off, and they were like, "No, you can't go this way. You gotta go, you just go that way." And it's like and it's like, "Well, why can't we just go over the bridge? He said that we could go over the bridge." And they're like, "Because we don't want people on there." Okay, so where did you say we go? Oh, just go that way. Okay. So they went that way. Don't ask for directions in Las Vegas, because your answer is going to be, "Oh, just go that way." That's how they explain directions. So now that I got you all kind of talked a little bit about the Las Vegas, it's a little bit tough when, I wasn't there to be able to explain everything that happened. So hopefully we'll be able to get Dave to come on here and talk about it a little bit. But now that since I showed you my mug and I talked a little bit about it, and then just to kind of recap, or just to talk a little bit about the Florida, and now swinging it back to Midwest stuff, and letting you know I do have plans for this weekend to do at least one road trips episode, for around here. I figured, you know what? Why don't we have this is a little chit chat talk, I did a Google search of just random facts of the Midwest, and this is what popped up. I thought it was like kind of funny, but it seems like Google pinpoints Michigan as like the main Midwest. So, what's your opinion? Is Michigan the Midwest, or is it clearly like all of like the Midwest states? Like, no, that's Midwest. But I thought that was interesting how Google like just really talks about Michigan when it comes to Midwest. But here's some facts that popped up. Michigan residents are the only people in the U.S. who routinely use their own bodies as maps. What is that supposed to mean? So what that means is pointing to their hand to show locations on the state's mitten-shaped lower peninsula. So they're going like this. Here's the UP, here's Michigan. So they go, oh, I live right here in Michigan. So that's what they're referring to. Or they go, oh, I live up here in Michigan. So it's like, oh yeah, I guess that's what a lot of people do. So ope is a phenomenon. Yes, it is. I didn't realize how much we say ope, but we say ope a lot. You bump into someone. Ope, sorry. Give them wrong directions. Ope, didn't mean to send you that way. You dropped something. Ope, nah, that's all over the floor. Here's another Michigan thing. Troll nickname. So if you don't know, the upper Michigan calls the lower Michigan trolls because they are below the bridge. Distance in time. Midwesterners frequently measure distance in minutes rather than miles. Yes, that is true. And I thought that was like kind of a thing everywhere. I didn't realize that was a Midwestern thing, but it is. And how I discovered that was when my in-laws had moved down to Arkansas. You can't do it that way. You can't, because in the Midwest, the ground is more flat. So you're able to go like how many miles with the minutes. And when you're heading to the places where it's mountains, it doesn't work like that. I really screwed up because I didn't realize we were going to have to, when I was looking at a map, we had to cross over a mountain. And so according to the map, it looked like, oh, this should only be like a half-hour drive. No, it took well over an hour. It was like a 90-minute drive. So, and the reason is you're not going like this, you're going like this to get up the mountain and down the mountain. So yeah, that was added time I was not expecting. And it was a very interesting drive. And it was very nerve-wracking for my husband to drive. He was really white knuckling the steering wheel. And I'm like, wow, look at the view. And he's just going, no. Tight turns. That's really nerve-wracking when the semis make that tight turn and you're on that mountain. Oh my gosh, that's scary. Yes, but that's a very common thing in the Midwest. And yeah, like I said, I had no idea until my in-laws had moved to Arkansas and I was trying to map out timing. So what are other things that is very Midwestern that no other state does that I haven't mentioned? Because I find that absolutely fascinating. So make sure you tell me in the comments if there's anything else that I missed, because this is what popped up on Google. And there's one more fact that popped up on here. And and surprise, surprise, it's not Michigan, it's Minnesota. Childhood game Duck, Duck, Goose is famously called Duck, Duck, Gray Duck. That I knew. That I understood. But isn't it a lot easier to just go goose and then you go running? Like otherwise you hear like gray duck. Like it just seems like it's like less of a surprise. So I don't know. That's just me, I guess. All right. Well, today's just going to be a very short podcast. I just wanted to say hi and just to have everything, or just to, let you guys know of like the little updates and so that way, road trip episodes are coming up. They really are. So, but yeah, I just wanted to do a quick hi and enjoy my new mug. But I'll catch you next time on the next podcast. Bye.